Vancouver, yeah. So I have one, two, three. Was he born yet? Was he created in such and such a period? The mango? Because of the picture? Okay, can you put it in here? It's not professional? Put it in the refrigerator. Inshallah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Was he born? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillahi amma ba'du. Concerning some of the questions that have come to us during the break, one person wants to know, was the Dajjal born yet? And the answer to that is he was born, as we told you in the Hadith of Tamim al-Dari that we're going to deal with tomorrow, inshallah. He was seen by Tamim al-Dari and his ashab, radiyallahu anhum ajma'in. So he was born. So the next question was, when is he created in such and such a time that we know about? To my knowledge, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't know for sure, or he didn't tell us for sure when he was created, but he was present during the time of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he's been on the scene for a long time. He's been on the scene for a long time. A brother wanted to know about the hadith of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, inna allaha zawani al-ard فرأيت مشارقها ومغاربها وإن ملك أمتي سيبلغ ما زوي لي منها. Allah caused the earth to be restricted for me. He brought the earth together, and I was able to see the east and the west. And verily, the dominion of my ummah is going to spread to every place where I saw it. So that hadith shows that Islam is going to dominate and is going to reach every nook and cranny of the dunya. Another hadith said that Islam is going to enter into every house, whether it's made out of mud or tent or made out of straw. And it's going to happen with the izzah of the aziz and with the dhul of the dhalil. That the might of mighty people, Islam is going to come spread with them. It's going to spread also by the lowliness of the lowly. So the person wants to know, is that going to be before the Dajjal or after the Dajjal? The dominion of Al-Islam is going to happen during the time of the Mahdi. He's going to fill up the earth in justice as it was filled up with oppression. So the fitna that we see in Somalia and Iraq, Afghanistan, Kashmir, Palestine, all over the world, in America, wherever there's fitna right now, in France, there have been some serious violent attacks on Muslim women in the last month. Yesterday, a girl was pushed in front of the train by the racist groups of France. Another girl, the other day, pregnant lady had hijab, not niqab, is banned in France. She had hijab. They took her and ripped her clothes off and left her naked in the street and cut her hair off and left her like that. So France is a secular country that's against Islam, and Muslims don't want them on the day of their Eid to slaughter animals, all kind of issues. They have problems in France. The UK, Canada, not like that. America is not like that. So the oppression that's in the earth when the Mahdi comes is going to spread, and it's going to be all good. And the Mahdi is going to be there with Isa. They're going to come after Ya'juj and Ma'juj. They won't be able to deal with Ya'juj and Ma'juj, and they're going to flee from him and go up in the mountain. And then when Ya'juj and Ma'juj are destroyed, they're going to come off of the mountain, and there's going to be khair all in the earth. They'll come to a fruit, looks like a watermelon. They'll be able to eat it. It'll feed everybody, and then they'll be able to build their house out of the rind of the watermelon. And then the situation is going to change again, and the people are going to lose their religion, and you won't find on the earth anyone's going to say Allah, Allah. So it appears that the domination and the dominions of Al-Islam is going to be at the time of the Mahdi, after the Mahdi, which is after the Dajjal. Another person asked a question, was a good question, and that was the person who is going to kill, who a Dajjal is going to kill, and then he brings him back to life by Allah's permission, was that Hijra. Because some people from the Turuq al-Sufiya, they believe that Hijra is still here. And many of them, when they shake your hands, they want to check your thumb to see if you have a bone, because they believe Hijra doesn't have a bone. So if you ever shake their hand and they're doing like this, it's because they're trying to check to see if you Hijra. So they try to be nice to every stranger that they meet, because it's possible you could be Hijra, a wali from the awliya of Allah, or a nabi from the anbiya of Allah, as some people say. People who have this opinion, ikhwani, we have to be fair, we have to be just. We can't say just because a person had that position, he's innovator. You can't say that. You got to take it easy. Because there were some major scholars in Islam who took that position. One of them is a scholar who was a narrator from the Sahih Muslim. His name is Ibrahim ibn Sufyan al-Faqih, Abu Ishaq. He's a narrator from Sahih Muslim who took that position. And the scholars refuted that statement. So whenever we see that certain scholars took a position and someone who's lesser than the scholar comes and take that position, if you say just because of that position you're innovator, then that ruling has to be on the scholar as well. So we have to take it easy. It doesn't mean that we see it as a light issue when a person makes a mistake. If he makes a serious mistake, we reject the mistake. But giving them the ruling of being a kafir, being a fasiq, being a fajr, being a mubtadi', that's a problem. Because if that ruling goes for him, it has to go for the scholar, especially if he's not a scholar. There's a famous da'i, not going to mention his name. He's an older man. I think he's definitely above 60, 65. He's pushing 70. He used to be a preacher. He reverted to Islam. Now he's giving dawah. And he doesn't have any knowledge. He has experience, and he has some knowledge about comparative religion, and he has a role to play in giving dawah. He just has to know his level and his rank. So he has some good, where he's giving dawah more than people in this masjid, and people have embraced Islam by Allah's permission through him more than people in this masjid. So we're not going to throw him away and throw his old dawah away. We're going to say to him, relax, relax, know your position. Famous Indian Sheikh Da'i. He gives dawah on the TV. He's doing a lot for Islam. He gave dawah and gave the shahada to more Indian Muslims than anybody in this masjid. We're going to say to him, look, just know your position. Abu Usamah, know your position. Saeed Raghi, know your position. Everybody know your position. Give dawah to what you know. You're not a scholar, not a mufti. So the point is that the old man Sheikh, our elder brother, the Sheikh, made some serious errors concerning the kalam of Allah Azza wa Jal, and the way he described the kalam of Allah. The Sheikh Hamid al-Tuwajiri tomorrow is going to mention in the book Aslu Sunnah, from the Asul of the Sunnah with Ahl Sunnah al-Hadith, the Firqat al-Najiyah, is that we believe that the Quran is the kalam of Allah. He spoke the Quran in a way that befitted His Majesty, against what innovators believe. So that particular da'i, the Sheikh, he made some serious errors consistently in this issue. So we say, hey, advise the Sheikh, come back off of his errors, and we free ourselves from those mistakes. But to try to destroy him, to try to destroy his honor, to describe him as being from the Jahmiyyah, to describe him as being an enemy of Islam, La, this is not the way. So if we find one of our Sufi brothers, for an example, Sufi saying Khidr was the one who Dajjal killed him and brought him back to life in order to support the khurafat that they have, don't call that individual mubtadi because of that. Because that scholar Ibrahim Ibn Sufyan, Abu Ishaq, from the narrators of Sahih Muslim, he took that position and ulama refuted him. And even bigger than him, scholars made mistakes from the companions, made mistakes in issues that were serious. So everybody can make a mistake and get it right. Everybody except the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. One of the ulama of Islam, Imam Mujahid. Mujahid was a student of Abdullah bin Abbas. He was a student. Sufyan al-Thawri said, whenever the tafsir of Mujahid comes to you, take it. Mujahid said, I went over the Quran 17 times with Abdullah bin Abbas. Each ayat we went over tafsir. I said, what does that mean? Where was that revealed? 17 times. There's no tabi'i inside al-Bukhari that al-Imam al-Bukhari relies on his tafsir more than Mujahid. And yet concerning the statement of Allah Ta'ala, وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَتَهَجَّدْ بِهِ نَافِلَةً لَكَ عَسَى أَن يَبْعَثَكَ رَبُّكَ مَقَامًا مَحْمُودًا. The ayat about the Maqam al-Mahmud, the special place, Maqam al-Mahmud, Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah is going to give Rasulullah this special place. Mujahid said the meaning of the ayat is Allah is going to take the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and sit him next to Allah on the Arsh. Sit him next to the Allah on the Arsh. The scholars rejected that tafsir, rejected that concept. So if this Imam can make that mistake, then clearly that Sheikh, that older man, he can make, it's plausible, conceivable, he's going to make mistake. So Ahl Sunnah are fair and just with the people. So it wasn't Khidr, it was a regular person. It wasn't Khidr, it was just a regular person. And this is not from the Adillah to help the people who want to support that Khidr lived forever. So those were the, was he born? Was he created such a time? Khidr killed him. So those were the 4 questions that came to us during the break. You brothers have any other questions concerning what we put forth today, inshallah, you can put your question forward now. Naam, Sheikh. The Sheikh wants to know, is the Dajjal a human being or is he superhuman? A Dajjal is a human being. He's a human being. He's a human being. A Dajjal is a human being. And that's because the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam described some people who looked like the Dajjal and they were human beings. And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam never brought us any information that would suggest he's other than a human being. But he's a human being who has some supernatural, superordinary capabilities. But Allah does what he wants to do. Isa ibn Maryam has supernatural, superhuman capabilities, bi'idhnillah azza wa jal, living the amount of time that he was living, being born the way he was born. And Dajjal is the same way. We're not going to say that he's a monster. We're not going to say that he's a Martian. We're not going to say he's something other than Bani Adam, because there's nothing to prove that he's other than that. Wallahu alam. Aywa akhi in the middle. Does Dajjal have a mother and a father? Does he have a Dajjal have a mother and a father? Naam. We know that through qiyas. We know that through qiyas. And the qiyas is that the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam thought Abdullah ibn Sayyad could possibly be the Dajjal. He could possibly be the Dajjal. And it was his mother who saw the Nabi hiding behind the tree. So it was well known he has a mother and he has a father. And then again, as we mentioned, the Nabi never came with anything that he found out later that no, he didn't have a mother and father. Right? So the fact that that young boy, the Nabi said he can possibly be Dajjal and he wanted to check to see, his mother exposed that the Nabi was hiding behind the tree. So that's a proof and indication that he is a human being. Plus, the Nabi told us, as we mentioned from his characteristics, that he won't have any children. Children won't be born to him. So if he was a monster, if he was a Martian, something like that, these are human beings who are having children. So yes, he had a mother and a father. Now, he what? I could barely hear you, my man. No, after they're gonna kill that Dajjal. Gonna talk about that inshallah. And then they're gonna be after that, they gotta deal with the Ya'juj and Ma'juj. And he'll be too much to deal with. So Isa ibn Maryam, the Mahdi, they won't have the power, they won't have the ability to deal with Ya'juj and Ma'juj. And they're gonna run away from him. And they're going to make Hijra, because when the Muslim doesn't have power and ability, he makes Hijra in the earth. And if we look at the 5 major prophets and messengers, all of them made Hijra. Nuh made Hijra on that boat. Ibrahim made Hijra. And he left Iraq and went to Egypt. And from Egypt, he went to Mecca. Musa made Hijra. And he went with Bani Israel and took them from Egypt. Isa is going to make Hijra from that Dajjal. He's going to go up on the mountain, and Allah is going to destroy that Ya'juj and Ma'juj. And our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam also performed the Hijra. Khwani, that's a real good question as well. I believe it's better to stick with the Islamic terminology that come from the Kitab and the Sunnah and avoid borrowing from the Yahud and the Nasara or what is in popular culture or literature. Sometimes when people want to talk about the last days, the signs of the last day, the Ashrat al-Sa'a, a masjid, an organization, we're going to talk about the last days. We'll call it Armageddon. And the last days is not Armageddon. The Ashrat of the Sa'a is not Armageddon. Armageddon is a biblical term. That means the big war that's going to happen between truth and falsehood before Yom Al-Qiyamah. It's the big war between the believers and the non-believers, truth and falsehood, or the place of that battleground. That's Armageddon. That's not Islam Ashrat al-Sa'a, because there are many wars that are going to take place. Not just one war, not just one, as we mentioned, from the signs of it, Dajjal, we mentioned like 4 of them. So we should stick with the terms of al-Islam. In the Arab world, if someone is practicing, they'll say that he is multazim. He's multazim. It's okay. It's okay. We understand multazim. But the Prophet didn't use that word. He used the word mustaqim, that he has istiqamah. You can use multazim. I'm not saying it's haram, but it's better to stick with the religious terminology. So the Antichrist is something that Christians use. It comes up and is conjured up in the mind of the Christians. You have Al-Masih Isa ibn Maryam. Al-Masih Isa ibn Maryam. You have the Masih Ad-Dajjal. So because both of them have that Masih, people say the Antichrist. And because he's going to be against Isa ibn Maryam, from that angle, you could call him that. But we shouldn't get the khurafat mixed up. If you look at the Bible, they have a book in there called the Book of Genesis. If you read that book, you don't know what's going on about Yom Al-Qiyamah. 6 white horses and the angels are coming and the pestilence and the death. Any Bakr, Amr, anyone can come and give his own interpretation. So from that angle, no problem. But we never heard that the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam described him as the one Antichrist. But we know from the story, from the Hadith, he is going to be against Isa ibn Maryam. His dawah was opposite of Isa ibn Maryam. So from that angle, inshallah, it's no problem. As long as we don't get it mixed up with Damien and all that stuff. You know, the movie Damien. All of that stuff like that. Wallahu alam. In addition to obtaining knowledge, what are some of the other things that we can do in order to protect ourselves from the Masih Dajjal? We're going to deal with that tomorrow, inshallah. So we don't want to jump the gun. And we hope this is not from the bab, من سئل عن علم ألجم بلجام النار. Whoever is asked about something that doesn't answer, he'll have to wear the harness of the fire. But we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. So we're going to deal with that, inshallah, tomorrow, okay? بإذن الله. أخونا تفضل. Allahu alam if the Mahdi is alive or not. We don't know that the Mahdi had such a long life like the Dajjal. We don't know that. From the Hadith, you don't understand that. From the Hadith of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As a matter of fact, it appears that the Mahdi is just a regular man, and it appears that the Mahdi also is not a religious man at the beginning. The Nabi said about him sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam, يخرج المهدي وَيُسْلِحُهُ اللَّهُ فِي لَيْلَةٍ وَاحِدَةٍ. He's going to come out and Allah is going to rectify his situation in one night. And Imam Ibn Kathir in Al-Bidayah wa Nihaya said the meaning of that is that the scholar said that Mahdi was not practicing the religion. And he wrote some kalam about how the Muslim should never give up hope when he sees someone who's not practicing. And he judges him and he says, it's done, he's finished, he's destroyed. Because the Mahdi was not practicing, or he wasn't religious, but then he became religious, bi'idhnillah. Those companions, some of them were not religious in Jahiliyyah. Then they became religious by Allah's permission. So it seems like the Mahdi is a regular human being who's going to come from the family of Fatima radiallahu anha. The young person here wrote in very nice penmanship, will the Dajjal be born later on? Or is he already born? The Dajjal is here already. He's on the scene. You just don't know where he is. Allah knows best. Someone else I saw there? Amen. What's your name, man? Carl. Carl. How long you been a Muslim? 5 years. Where you from originally? Canada. And before that? I was born and raised in Canada. Why you keep that name Carl? Good, good. What's your last name? Carl Holtz. You don't have to change your name. Tfaddal ya akhi Carl. You married? If you have a son, what you going to call him, inshallah? Huh? Ijaz? Naz. Like Nas in New York? Oh, Surah Nas. Oh, don't name him Nas, man. A lot of times when reverse embrace the religion, we don't know Arabic. We come up with names that we regret later on. So take your time, because you can't call yourself Nas, your son Nas. He's going to regret something like that. And I've seen this in my own experience. Back in the day, in the 70s, black people used to call themselves Blood. What's up, Blood? They would call each other Blood. So the brother became a Muslim. He called himself Damu. I said, what's your name? He said, Damu. I said, what does that mean? He said, blood, like brother, blood. He meant Dima. You can't call yourself Dima like that. So take your time, Carl. Get a nice name, all right? Go ahead, my man.
I guess my question was about how do you tell the difference between the real Mahdi and an imposter, like how it happened in 1979?
Now, that's a good question, Akhi. The brother Carl is asking about, like, there are imposters who claim prophecies that they're Anbiya and they're lying. And as such, they're going to be people who claim that they are less than Al-Anbiya. So we have fake Mahdis, like the Mahdi from that guy Juhayman from the Utaybi tribe, who in 79 took over the masjid, and he was from the Khawarij in his behavior and killed the people at the Kaaba after Salat of Al-Fajr. So how do we know that he's an imposter? Because he broke the hadith of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It appeared that he had some things that made people believe he was the Mahdi. He had some things that made them believe. But there were many things that he didn't have. And one of the things that he did not have was the support of the ulama. The ulama are not going to be against the Mahdi. The ulama are going to be the first people who are going to give the bay'ah to the Mahdi. And that's because their knowledge positions them to know he has the signs. I don't know, you don't know, the people here with regular people who don't know. Those ulama, they know the ayat, they know the ahadith. So Allah mentioned in the Quran, قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِ الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Are they equal, those who know and those who don't know? The ulama know. So based on those signs, they're going to support him before everybody else. And then we're going to get in line with those ulama. So he went against a lot of the signs of the Mahdi. The Mahdi came to make peace. I told you, if the Mahdi came now, he's going to make peace in Somalia, Kenya, Rwanda, all over the earth. America, the dhulm that America is giving, foreign policy, all over the earth. He's going to put those people in check. That Mahdi, that man came, and he killed the Muslims at Salatul Fajr, at the Kaaba, and caused all kind of fitna and fasad. Any more questions, Ikhwani? Naam, akhuna. That's a good question. The brother's saying it appears to be a contradiction. It appears to be a contradiction. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam heard that Tamim al-Dari saw the Dajjal and he was locked up and chained up. And then he sees the situation of Ibn Sayyad, so why would he go to try to find out if he's the Dajjal, and he knew that the Dajjal was over there? So how could that be? It's simple jawab, and that is, maybe that happened before that. Maybe that happened before that. So historically, before we can eliminate this or eliminate that, we have to know what's going on in the tarikh. And if you don't know that, then don't be aggressive and don't be emphatic. But because, again, the general principle, the qaida is that there's no ikhtilaf. The Quran doesn't contradict itself. The Sunnah doesn't contradict itself. We're going to have to come up with knowledge, knowing that there's no ikhtilaf. The man came. He said, Ya Rasulallah, if I pray the 5 prayers, and if I fast the month of Ramadan, and if I make what's halal, halal, and I make what's haram, haram, would I go to Jannah? The Nabi said, Naam. He said, Wallahi, that's all I'm doing. Someone comes to that hadith and says, okay, this hadith shows all I have to do is fast and pray, and that's it. I don't have to make hajj. Okay. I don't have to give zakat, because he didn't mention hajj and zakat. Hey, slow down and pump your brakes. Take it easy. Who told you that hajj was obligatory at that point when that man came? Who told you that? So why are you not going to do hajj? It may not have been if it was obligatory later on. Okay, but zakat came right after salah. So if he says salah, zakat, take it easy. Maybe the Nabi knew that that particular man, he don't have zakat. So the man didn't ask about zakat. So it's not his issue. And when the man said, I make halal, halal, haram, haram, that means leaving off zakat is haram. It's haram. So he already included that. So the point is, don't be arrogant and so quick to doubt about your religion. And then when the kuffar told us this and this and this and that, we're quick to believe every narration that they tell us. Every narration that they tell us, we're quick to believe. To be honest with you guys, this community, and I'm not afraid and hesitant in saying this, when that brother stabbed that man with that axe and stabbed and did that, when I first saw that on the news, I didn't believe it. I'm not one of those conspiracy theorists. Everything didn't happen. But the conspiracy theorist people, they do help to look at the other side and to look at the thing from every angle. The guy didn't have any blood on his clothes. He only had blood on his hand. It looked like the body wasn't bleeding. They came up with some real possible questions. You don't have to believe that. World Trade Center. I know somebody crashed that plane into those buildings because I saw those buildings before. They're not there anymore. I know that happened. But some Muslims do that, and they found the passports in there, and that's how the Muslims. No, I don't believe Muslims did that. You didn't convince me of that. So the point here is, don't be so quick to be aggressive in rejecting and denying our religion, having doubt about our religion, but so quick to take narrations that is not revelation from the sky. Any more questions from the floor, Ikhwani? From brothers who didn't ask? My man right here. We're going to deal with the hadith, inshallah, of Timi and Madadi tomorrow. Everyone is asking about that, so we're going to deal with that. You, my man. Those two guys behind you, are they your brothers? They're twins. Where you guys from? Somalia, Eritrea? Eritrea. What's your name? Huh? Yunus. And that one? Yusuf. MashaAllah, names of prophets. Yunus, Ahmed, Yunus, Yusuf, and Ahmed. What's your question, Akhi Yunus? No, that Dajjal is going to affect everybody who's living during his time. Everybody. But the difference between the Muslims and the non-Muslims is that the Muslims have clear evidence and indications and proofs that protect them from him. Whereas the Christian and the Jews and the other people, Sikhs and Hindus, they don't have any idea. They don't know. Any more questions, Ikhwani, from that floor? From someone who didn't ask? All right, we'll take these last ones from these brothers over there. Aywa, tfaddal. What was the first question? Isa, when he comes, what? The Ya'juj are human beings. Yes, they're human beings. What's the other one? When Isa comes with what? Nah, I don't know anything about that. First of all, when Isa ibn Maryam comes, he's going to break the cross. So there's not going to be any more Christianity. He's going to break the cross. He's going to kill the swine, something that they eat, and he's going to take the jizya off. There's going to be no jizya. Some of the scholars using the narration that's not authentic, but because of authentic narrations, he's going to get married as well. He's going to get married as well. That hadith is da'if, coming from the Nabi about Isa ibn Maryam, but all of the prophets and messengers, they got married. So it's assumed that he's going to be married. So he's not coming with Christians who became Muslims. He's going to come down. He's going to come down at the door of Lud, the Bab of Lud, which is there in Syria. And he's going to come down on the wings of two angels who bring him down. And he's going to come, and the Mahdi is going to be praying with the Muslims. The Mahdi is going to see him and say, you, come and be the Imam, because you're better than everybody. You're the Rasul, you're the Nabi. Isa will say, no, you people are the Imams one of another. And then he's going to lead the Mahdi. He's going to lead the Muslims, who Isa gets into the role with the Muslims. Got nothing to do with Christians at all. Christians who became Muslims. Got nothing to do with that. I don't see anything, Akhi Kareem, why we can see, understand that Isa ibn Maryam is what would prevent him being a reason why many Christians come to Islam. Can't see, there's nothing prevent that. When he comes, those Christians claim that they love him, and I'm sure there's some who really love him. And when he comes, being a Rasul and Nabi, is going to be able to show them things, and he's going to definitely have an impact on people who love him. So what's the thing that prevented people from coming to Islam through Isa ibn Maryam? So I don't see anything that's going to prevent him. But did the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam say that they're going to be a special group of Christians who believed in him and then they came and supported him? I'm not aware of that thing. But he's going to come. The is going to be here, and he's going to reject Christianity. He's going to reject that jizya. They can't even pay jizya anymore. No more jizya. They have to be dealt with. Now, people who passed away, are they saved from this fitna? No, if they're not living, then they're not here. So they've been saved. But the Nabi said about his ummah, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, ummati ummatun marhuma. Ummah marhuma ubtuliyat fi dunya. The trials and tribulations of this ummah is going to happen in the dunya. A Dajjal and this and that and that. Whereas in the hereafter, those other ummahs are going to be tried in the hereafter. They're going to have their bigger problems over there in the hereafter because of their kufr. So may Allah give us the bat. We're going to go through these questions real quickly from the sisters. Inshallah, is Dajjal going to be judged? On top of that, will he be going to the hellfire because he is Bani Adam? Everybody is going to be judged, and everybody is going to have to get the reward of what they did. Person says after the Dajjal, how long would it be for the Dajjal to be on the earth? How long would it be? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us in an authentic hadith that when the Dajjal comes, he's going to be on the earth for 40 days. 40 days. The first day will be like the duration of a year. The second day will be like the duration of 1 month. The third day will be like the duration of 1 week. And then the subsequent 37 days will be like these regular days. When the companions heard that, radiyallahu anhum, they say, Ya Rasulullah, how should we pray? If 1 day is the duration of a year, how do we pray 5 prayers in that time span? He told the people, try to estimate, figure it out. قَدِّرُوهَا تَقْدِيرًا. Try to figure it out. Try to figure out when to pray Fajr, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha. Is Ya'juj and Ma'juj 2 groups of people, or 2 people, or 1 person? The Ya'juj and the Ma'juj are 1 group of people. They're 1 group of people. Some of the scholars say Ya'juj is a group, Ma'juj is a group, but it appears that they're 1 people. Person said, how will Ya'juj and Ma'juj be released? How would they be released? They're going to break through the wall or the fence that is holding them back. This person said, as a Muslimah, I made Hijra for my country, not for religious purposes, but for dunya. So what is my wrongdoing, and what should I do to correct the issue? There's nothing wrong with making Hijra to this country for the dunya to get a better life for yourself from 1 place to another place. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's permissible. In your country, there's no stability, bad governance, there's corruption. You can't practice your religion in your country. No opportunities, no stability, no security. And you want a better way of life for yourself. That's permissible to make that Hijra. That's permissible, and there's no sin on the individual for that. I mean, it's better, clearly, if a person is making Hijra for his deen, but it's possible we can practice deen better in this place than he can in some of the countries where we come from. How does the Masih Dajjal, how does he do magic? And that's from the sister's side. I don't know that he's going to do magic. It's not authentic that he's going to do magic. I said that he's going to have the ability to have supernatural occurrences are going to take place with him. And Allah allows that for religious people and irreligious people. He's not a Nabi, he's not a Rasul, so he's not doing mu'jizat, miracles. He's not from the awliya of Allah, so he's not doing the karamat. He's doing the khawariq that Allah can give to anybody to lead the people astray, and so forth and so on. So I don't know that he's going to do magic. He's going to do bigger than magic, more powerful than magic. And the last question we have here, Ikhwani, is, that's it. There are no more questions. We're going to stop this session, inshallah, and let you brothers get a rest until the dars after Salat of al-Maghrib. The Sheikh Abu Abdul Muhsin Hamid Al-Tuwajiri is going to come and give his second talk, inshallah, after Salatul Maghrib. Subhanak Allahumma wa bihamdika wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yalla Umun Nur. Yalla Namshi.